Richie Castellano. You're in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Yes.
Halifax, of course. What do you think of the traveling in this day of age and stuff like that, coming to gigs compared to 10 years ago?
Well, I can tell you, because I've been working for this band for 10 years, and 10 years ago I was working as a crew guy. The restrictions are a lot tougher on what you can bring onto the plane.
Okay,
in terms of, you know, how much gear you can, and you know, it's a lot different nowadays, and we have to be sort of, we have to consolidate a lot more with what we can bring, because when I started on bass, I used to have a rack of just my stuff, and we can't really do stuff like that anymore, so I gotta bring it. Now I just have like a pedal and a guitar, but yeah, I mean.
And like simulations nowadays gets easier.
Yeah.
You know, 2012, the amount of effects you can get in sound quality, every night you're sounding the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a Nova system, TC Electronic, and that thing's like a Swiss Army knife. I can do any kind of gig with that. I could do, you know, I can go right into a clean amp, or I can use, like tonight I'm using it in the effects loop, so I can do that. So, you know, that's really useful for something like that.
So for endorsements and stuff, what are you carrying nowadays, because you're still playing certain equipment?
Yeah, I'm using I'm using Ernie Ball Music Man. As a matter of fact, they just made me a guitar.
Okay, so the custom signature.
I got it right there. Let me show it to you.
Excellent stuff.
It's a one-of-a-kind finish. They call it Slime Burst. So,
excellent.
Play it.
Yeah, she Blue Oyster Cult pick it.
Yeah. It's got skills.
She's slippery.
Skills.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. So that's the one I'm playing. I mean, it's pretty much a stock Axis. I mean, they did a little mod there. They put a tone knob on it for me.
Interesting.
And this color is something they haven't done before. And
now, how's the tuning on this? It stays in tune?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, I had the D-tuner on here, but I couldn't really get it to work for some reason. I have it on a bunch of other guitars. You know what I'm talking about, the D-tuner thing?
Yeah.
But I mean, for this band, for this band, I don't really tune down much. Right. So this guitar is dedicated for this band. So I took it off, and you know, it stays in tune very well, and it sounds good every night. And I've tried other things, but I keep coming back to this particular model. I have a few of these, the Axis, but you know, I like this one.
And pickups, what's the stock pickup in that?
These are the DiMarzio custom ones. I mean, I guess they used to be the Eddie Van Halen pickups,
right,
and then he moved on, and they kept the pickup design.
Okay.
So they're, I mean, I love them. I have them in a lot of guitars. They're great.
In the neck, you see the shiny, worn feeling in.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think this has a finish on it. This is it's got some bird's eye, but the thing I like about this is a 10-inch radius, and it has that kind of asymmetrical, like really comfortable back curve. Like, you know, some guys, I don't know what kind of guitar you play, but some guys, they like the flatter neck and the wider one. I have small hands, so I kind of like to be able to get around it a little bit. So that's why this particular model works for me.
Let's say vintage. I just bought a 1979 Fender Strat.
Right.
Good price, of
okay,
course.
All right.
What do you think of vintage gear compared to what you can buy now?
I mean, I actually, the only vintage gear I have are basses. Okay. I mean, I have a couple of Rickenbacker 4001s. I get paranoid with vintage gear, because if I can't go and get it from a store, then I get nervous using it. I mean, there are some people that love vintage gear, and obviously it sounds great, feels great, you know, but I get kind of nervous when it comes to something I'll be using every night, because if something happens to this guitar, say I was using a, you know, whatever, a 70 Strat or something,
right,
and something happened to that guitar, then I'd have to go search all over to find something comparable, and I probably wouldn't find anything as good as it. With something like this, I mean, these guitars are pretty consistent, so I could just go order one or pick one off the rack, right, and it'll be good to go. I mean, that being said, I wouldn't mind having a vintage Telly or a Les Paul, but
yeah,
but you know, for me, this is perfect.
It's kind of like what Zakk Wylde and them are saying nowadays.
Right.
They go into any music store in the world.
Right.
If their stuff is missing, they can pick it
right,
out right from the store.
Yeah.
And sound just like what they sound.
Oh yeah, I mean, actually, we had a gig in Canada a couple of years ago, and our gear didn't make it. And they went to a local music store. They rented one of these, and it was perfect. It's like I didn't miss anything, even though we didn't have our gear. So, you know, that's really beneficial.
Now let's say with all the dedication and time you put into guitar and, you know, music in general, are you learning anything new these days? Because at this point you mastered your instrument, of course.
I don't think so.
We can, you know, say something like that, you know, and where do you go to learn new stuff or techniques to get revived in this?
Well, I stand next to Buck Dharma every night, and that's like being taken to school, you know. So just hearing him do stuff is very inspiring to me. I'm always learning stuff. Like if I'll hear music on a commercial, and well, that's cool. Like when we learned there, that's a cool chord change. I mean, I like to learn stuff all the time. I think a big part of what we do is learning music. I mean, if you say you're going to be a musician, that means you're going to be learning songs, and you're going to be learning riffs and techniques and stuff like that. So, you know, whenever I hear anything, whether it be in like, you know, heavy metal or pop or anything or jazz, like if I hear something that I think sounds good, I want to know how to play it, and I want to know what's going on. The other place I learn things, that's from my students, because I teach private guitar students, and sometimes when I explain something to them, they'll say something back to me or play something back to me, and I'll be like, huh, that's interesting, I never thought of that. So, you know, there's definitely a lot to be said for teaching as a learning tool, because they're learning from me and I'm learning from them at the same time. I know that's like everybody says that, but it's totally true.
But it is the teacher's point of, you know, sight when the students come in and playing their own way.
Yeah.
You as the teacher is learning a little bit from them, and you know you're teaching them correct ways. Sometimes, what do you think? Let's say when you look at the etiquette of a new guitar player now, how they learn into music, compared to maybe your days with cassettes rewinding.
Oh yeah, but it's a lot different. I mean, the biggest thing is notation. I mean, a lot of the newer guitar players, the younger ones, they don't learn any notation. And, you know, it's kind of a shame that that's dying out. I mean, tab is great, it's efficient, you know what I mean, it gets you right to where you're going. But, I mean, I'm kind of a fan of the tab with the rhythm, so you can read the rhythm notation, and if you're not familiar with a song, you can still kind of play it. But, you know, that's one big difference, is that they don't use a notation, which is, it's kind of sad, but I understand it. And, yeah, the other thing is they have YouTube. All my students, they're using YouTube for everything, you know, which I always yell at them. I said, buy the song. If you like the song, you learn it, buy it. But, you know, YouTube is a big deal. I mean, because you remember rewinding cassettes. And
I did rewind cassettes.
It was a nightmare, because then the cassette would get flatter and flatter, and you have to tune your guitar to it. It was a nightmare.
And the people with the vinyl rewinding.
Yeah, I missed that, so I don't know.
That's even worse, you know. I've talked to a lot of people, and when you do turn the vinyl, you're learning so much differently because you're putting extra hours on that guitar. You know. I
mean, I have this when I'm teaching lessons. I have an app that slows down MP3s.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, that's a great tool that you know you didn't really have a while back, but now you have it, and it's really nifty to be able to. What's Eddie Van Halen doing over there?
Right,
you know what I mean? Just pick it apart like that.
Technology, you think in 20 years from now is going to be even a whole different system? You know, where is that going to go?
I have no idea, but I'm curious to find out. And, you know, I like to a lot of people, especially because we talked about the vintage thing before.
Right.
A lot of people, they say, "Oh, I want an old amp, I want an old guitar," but me, I kind of like to blend both of those things. I mean, I like the little classic rock idea of tube amps and all that stuff, but I also don't mind integrating technology into it, because I think that's an important part. And also, that's my background. I'm an engineer. You know what I mean? I like computers. I don't mind plugging my guitar into a computer and seeing what happens. That's a natural thing, and people have to get used to it. You know, like the also like I said before about the TC Electronic stuff that I'm using. That's mostly digital. You know what I mean? Like the Nova has an analog distortion circuit in it, but you know that's digital. And for me, you know, I understand the allure of having knobs to turn on a stomp box, but for me, I like, you know, from an engineering background, I like, you know, clean effects. You know, so I hit a button, everything changes. That for me, that's what I like. So, you know, if that gets, you know, if the advances in that keep going, I'll be happy. And also, you know, I like to see that all the modeling is getting better too. On like the Line 6 stuff, I just picked up a pod, and it's really good. It's a lot better than it was when it started. So you remember modeling amps when they first came out. Everyone was like, you know, oh, I don't want that. But now
they're not that good.
Yeah, but now you can get by a gig with it. You know.
Yeah.
So we did a tour of Europe, and I just brought a pod with me because we had, like I said before, we had to really cut down what we were able to bring with us. So I just had to bring the pod, and that worked. You know. And
also too, you can start bringing this stuff and recording with it, because there's mic simulations to it now. Cabinet simulations.
Yeah.
It's in 10 years from now, we're going to have a real JCM 800 Marshall, you know, in this little pedal.
Yeah, well, that's Don's actually using a cabinet simulator. I think he's using the I think it's called the Torpedo. Do you know about that?
No.
It's yeah, he's really on the cutting edge of that too. With the he has a Kemper amp, and he's got all that stuff. I mean, I'd love to get into that, but you know, that's one thing at a time.
Wow. Yeah. Now, when you go and play these songs, is there certain eras you enjoy more? Blue Oyster Cult when you're playing at night, or because you're playing them, you know, night after night?
Yeah.
How is it for you?
For me, I like, if the audience is into it, I'm into it. It's,
Right.
you know, you play live, you know what it's like. If the audience hates something you're doing, you hate what you're doing.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter, it could be your favorite song. If it's not going over, you hate it. But like people say, oh, do you ever get tired of playing Don't Fear the Reaper? It's like, never, because that's the...
It's a classic.
It gets huge applause,
Yeah.
you know, it gives you a little adrenaline rush when you do that. So, I mean, favorite era, I mean, this band just had their 40th anniversary, so there's a lot to choose from. And I can't say for sure if I like one thing better than another thing. I mean, I like playing songs like Black Blade. I mean, I like playing Burning for You. That's, you know, it's a great pop rock song, and you know, I really don't dislike playing anything. I mean, some of the harder keyboard stuff was an adjustment.
Right.
Because, you know, primarily a guitar player, so and Alan Lanier was a great piano player, so learning some of that stuff is challenging, but you know, I like playing it all.
Let's say in studio and stuff like that. What are you doing currently, you know, in projects?
Thank you for asking.
Well, of course, I'm gonna ask that.
I just finished an album with my metal band. I have a metal band called Morning Starlet. I'll give you a copy.
Right.
It is a female-fronted metal band, and she is like a combination between, I'd say, the female version of Ronnie James Dio, but with opera in there, because she's an opera soprano, so she like shifts in and out of that voice, and we all do stuff like that too. Like we're all doing, you know, we go back and forth between that like more classic Dio stuff to like some heavier type stuff and some Iron Maiden sounding stuff. Like I don't want to throw out a bunch of band names, but there's a lot of influences, but we definitely have something unique going on, especially when she starts singing the operatic stuff. It's pretty cool.
And where does this band originate from?
It's we're all from Staten Island, which is where I live in New York. The band's called Morning Starlet, and I'll give you the CD so you can check it out. It's available on iTunes and Amazon and stuff, and I'm gonna have it through my website too. But yeah, this is our first CD. I just finished it.
Okay.
And yeah, we're all from New York, and it's just actually Andy Ascalise is the drummer. He works with Blue Oyster Cult, and yeah, I think people get a real kick out of it when they hear it.
Let's say now, when you're releasing an album, you know, your solo stuff, you know, your band, how hard is it to get it out to the public?
It's a lot easier now, actually. I mean, what digital distribution has done is leveled the playing field for everybody. Like, you got to be good. So if you release something and, you know, it doesn't do well, maybe, you know, there's a lot more competition. That's the reason. And also, like, you have to be a self promoter.
Right.
And that's the hard part, because you got to make sure people, because now it's a level playing field. There's so many choices. If you like heavy metal, think of how many different bands and subgenres of heavy metal
are coming out
every day. Right. So you have to try to have something unique, and you know, and hope that you don't get lost in the, you know, in the herd.
Yeah, and let's say with bands like that coming out every day, you have to start, you know, choosing the good ones, you know, as the fans.
Yeah.
And then they look on Facebook, oh, 100,000 likes, they must be good.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, I'm finding that, you know, with the digital distribution, along with, like I mentioned before, YouTube.
Yeah.
Because YouTube is how, like, I know from my younger students, that's how kids are experiencing music. They're not, like, you know, there's no more record stores. I don't even think they're going to iTunes as much as, I mean, if they like something, they'll buy it from iTunes, obviously. Right. But you have to have a presence on YouTube, and that's what someone told me once. Actually, Rudy Sarzo told me that. He's a big proponent of video and music. And he said, you know, you have to have video chops, and you have to get on YouTube. And I'm trying very hard to, you know, have a video presence. I mean, the Bohemian Rhapsody video that I did was a big help, you know, because that got a lot of hits. So I'm hoping that you know, will help us with our album and whatever I'm going to do next. But you know, I definitely believe that YouTube is going to be is a big part. Not going to be, is a big part right now of how people are getting music.
Speaking of Rudy Sarzo, you happen to be a Randy Rhoads fan.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see the lost footage that just surfaced, you know, last year?
I saw a little bit of it on his laptop, but it wasn't. They put it out in like a movie or something, a documentary, right?
A little bit in the documentary, but then they released the 30th anniversary of Blizzard of Oz's Diary.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I saw a little bit on his laptop. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you see that as a fan, you'll be blown away. You know,
Oh,
it's
man.
great to see
I
this
can't wait.
Randy Rhoads in action. You know, just the best.
Yeah.
You know. Now, coming back to your band, let's say you guys just released this album.
Mm-hmm.
How far is this, you know, going to get out, you think? And, you know, will there be a tour? You know, something like that, local gigs?
Well, right now we're starting with local gigs. I mean, that's all we can do, and we get it. Hopefully people like it, and we can see it, and we'll take it from there. You know, there's no way of knowing. I wish I knew, you know, and I could plan accordingly, but I gotta just. The only thing I can do is when I'm working on something, know that I'm doing the best I can, and just be confident in it when I release it. And I'm very happy with the way it came out. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, then there's nothing I can do about that. But I think you know, fans of, you know, either classic metal or just, you know, musicianship or you know, or just melody will like it because it's got a lot of that stuff in it.
Basically, in 2013, what's going to be seen out of you?
I'm gonna do another split screen video soon, like Bohemian Rhapsody. Going to be hopefully playing gigs with both Blue Oyster Cult and my original band Morning Starlet. I have a couple of solo things I have saved up. I mean I've done 4 CDs now of solo material, and I have like I don't want to call them rejects, but songs that didn't fit on whatever.
Little B-sides.
Yeah, songs that, I mean, some of them are pretty strong, but like, you know, say I was doing a hard rock thing, or like I did a prog rock album, so I wrote some songs while I was doing that, and they weren't prog rock songs, so I just kind of put them aside, and I have a bunch of that, so I might try to finish those and put that, and I don't even think I would make that a CD. I think I would just do straight to digital, because it's amazing how few people want to buy CDs. They just want it on the phone or on the iPod. You know, they just want to.
iPad too.
Yeah, right.
Mini iPad now.
Right, exactly.
The question I had earlier was, let's say you take bands nowadays that start out, they learn their guitar so much, they learn their drums so much. Now they got to spend so much time and energy promoting the band. They're losing their effort to learn how to become better musicians. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big challenge for me too. I mean, you know, I'm the kind of guy that's, you know, stays in his room practicing and working on music, and then when I'm done, I'm just like, okay, I'm done, and I don't. Then you have to start saying, oh man, now I gotta let people hear this. I gotta go out and peddle this stuff, you know.
Right, now I gotta work extra hard.
I mean, really, you know, it's nice if you're in a band with somebody who is good at that. But if you're not, you gotta just jump in there and learn how to do it, and you know, like. You can do some of that on social media, like, you know, Facebook and all that stuff, or Twitter. But that's, you know, I wish I had a good answer for that, because I'd like to know myself. So yeah, I mean that's a challenge, and like I said, especially now with all the, you know, the level playing field of everybody being able to release their stuff on iTunes. How do you stick out?
Yeah.
You know, I wish I had an answer for that.
Yeah. Because the days of record labels pumping lots of money are gone.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people that's good, because a lot of people can just, you can make something, and if it sounds good and people like it, they can just get it. You don't have to worry about this, you know, middle entity, you know, saying, okay, this is not good or this is good. You can, the people who like the kind of music you do, they decide if it's good.
Yeah.
So
true.
I mean, I like that.
Anything else we want to add to the crowd on YouTube?
Check out the new album, morningstarlet.com or richiecastellano.com. You can get it either place. And please check out blueoystercult.com to find out about when we're playing, because we play all over, and hopefully we'll be in a town near you.
Even in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Yeah, that's right.
Halifax. Thanks, Richie.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure talking to you and meeting you in person. Last time I think it was Skype.
Right. Thanks a lot.